At 76, Meryl Streep has nothing left to prove. 3 Oscars, decades of brilliance, and a reputation as the most respected actress alive. But behind the grace and the golden speeches, there's a quiet fire and a list. For years, Meryl avoided naming names. She called Hollywood a circus of charm and cruelty, a place where smiles are currency and betrayal is casual. But in a rare, unfiltered conversation, she finally revealed what few believed she'd ever say. I don't despise people easily, but some earn it. The confession shocked even her closest friends. 5 names, 5 faces she once trusted, admired, or believed in, until the masks fell off. To Meryl, this isn't gossip, it's history. The story of a woman who spent half a century watching the business she loved devour its own humanity. Talent is a gift, she once said. Character is a choice, and some people make the wrong one, beautifully. Now, for the first time, she names them. 5 stars who taught her what power looks like when it loses its soul. Let's begin. Number 5. Number 5. Anne Hathaway. When The Devil Wears Prada premiered in 2006, Hollywood called it a passing of the torch. Meryl Streep, the queen of restraint, and Anne Hathaway, the eager apprentice, in one film that defined ambition, power, and fear. Off-screen, their dynamic was just as layered. At first, Meryl adored Anne. She saw a young version of herself, bright, committed, hungry. She even defended Hathaway to skeptical producers who wanted someone more glamorous. She's not a model, Meryl told them. She's an actress. But fame changes everything. After Prada's success, Hathaway's interviews began to shift. She called Meryl terrifying, joked about her icy silence on set, and suggested she learned how not to act like Miranda Priestley in real life. For Meryl, it wasn't humor, it was humiliation. Insiders say she never forgot that. I wasn't playing Miranda, Meryl said quietly once. I was protecting the film from vanity. Years later, when Hathaway publicly apologized, calling Streep the ultimate professional, Meryl accepted, politely, not warmly. She told a friend, she's talented, but talent without gratitude becomes appetite. In interviews, Meryl avoided speaking about her, but when asked which co-star disappointed her most, she paused, smiled faintly, and said, "Let's just say, sometimes the student mistakes kindness for weakness." Those who know her say that line was for Anne, not out of hatred, but heartbreak. Because to Meryl, betrayal doesn't always come from enemies. Sometimes it comes from the ones you believed were worthy of your silence. Number 4. Bruce Willis. They shared a screen once, Death Becomes Her, 1992. A dark comedy about vanity and decay. Ironically, what rotted off-screen wasn't youth, but respect. At the time, Bruce Willis was Hollywood's favorite tough guy. Meryl Streep was already an institution. She approached the project as theater. Measured, layered, serious, beneath the absurdity. Bruce? He treated it like a vacation. He arrived with sunglasses and sarcasm. One crew member said, "She arrived with a script full of notes." Tension began early. Meryl wanted multiple takes to find nuance. Bruce wanted to wrap early to hit the golf course. During one argument, Streep reportedly said, "If you don't believe in the scene, at least believe in the people watching it." He laughed and walked off set. When the film became a cult classic, Bruce gave interviews calling it silly fun, adding that the girls took it too seriously. Meryl never replied publicly, but privately she told a friend, "I take everything seriously, even the silly things. That's how they stop being silly." Years later, when asked if she'd work with Willis again, she smiled thinly. Once is enough. I don't like repeating mistakes. To Meryl, Bruce represented a kind of arrogance she couldn't stand. The casual dismissal of art by people paid too much to care too little. Some actors hide behind charm, she once said. Others hide behind explosions. It's the same cowardice, just louder. And that's why Bruce Willis became one of the few names she never defended, not even in private. Because for her, indifference isn't just bad acting. It's moral failure. Number 3, Gwyneth Paltrow. In another world, Meryl Streep and Gwyneth Paltrow could have been allies. 2 Oscar winners redefining what it means to be a woman in Hollywood. But in reality, they stood on opposite ends of what Meryl calls the spectrum between truth and trend. Their first meeting was pleasant. Paltrow called her the Queen, and Meryl responded with warmth. But over time, admiration gave way to irritation. Gwyneth's career shifted from acting to branding, from scripts to skincare, from performances to products. She started selling candles before she finished sentences. Meryl joked once, not cruelly, just sadly. The breaking point came in a 2013 interview when Paltrow compared herself to Streep, saying she knew what it was like to be the most celebrated actress of her generation. Friends say Meryl read the quote twice, then said softly, "I hope she never has to know what that really feels like." For Meryl, the issue wasn't arrogance, it was emptiness. She believed acting was sacred, not a stepping stone to self-promotion. "We're not brands," she said. "We're bridges between stories and people." Years later, Paltrow tried to reconcile, sending Meryl an invitation to a Goop event. Streep declined politely, adding a handwritten note. "I'm still trying to sell truth, not lotion." That story became legend among their peers, whispered with awe and laughter. But behind the wit was sadness. Because to Meryl, Gwyneth symbolized a generation that traded authenticity for aesthetics, craft for clout. "She's not the villain," Meryl once said. "She's the warning." And that's why Gwyneth Paltrow earned her place on the list, not out of malice, but as a mirror reflecting what Hollywood had become. Number 2, Christian Slater. It was the late 1990s when Meryl Streep crossed paths with Christian Slater, a time when he was Hollywood's wild child, fresh off fame and flirting with chaos. They met at a charity gala in New York, seated together by accident. Meryl, ever gracious, tried small talk about theater. Slater smirked and said, "Theater's for people who can't get real work in film." She didn't reply. She didn't have to. Her silence, as always, said everything. Weeks later, they were cast in the same ensemble drama. From the start, Slater's unpredictability clashed with Meryl's precision. He'd show up late, improvise lines, and crack jokes during emotional scenes. She called it performing for ghosts, loud, invisible ones. Crew members remember one incident vividly. During a key scene, Slater refused to hit his mark. Meryl stopped mid-line, turned to him, and said quietly, "If you can't respect the scene, at least respect the silence." He rolled his eyes. She walked off set. The studio smoothed things over, but the damage was done. After filming wrapped, Slater reportedly told a reporter that Meryl made acting feel like homework. When she read that quote, she simply laughed, then said, "Some people fail the test before they even know there's one." Years later, when asked about working with difficult co-stars, Meryl replied, "There's a difference between being unpredictable and being unprepared." Those who know her say that was for Christian. To Meryl, he wasn't cruel, just careless. And in her world, carelessness is the highest form of disrespect. "Discipline isn't control," she once said. "It's love wearing work clothes." That line, simple, cutting, and true, was her final word on Christian Slater. Number 1. Harvey Keitel. Of all the names on Meryl Streep's list, Harvey Keitel was the one that never left her in peace. Not because he was cruel on screen, but because he was cruel when the cameras stopped. They worked together on the bridges of Madison County rehearsals before Keitel was eventually replaced. What began as mutual respect quickly turned tense. Insiders recall Keitel treating rehearsals like sparring sessions, testing Meryl's patience with constant interruptions and comments about her overthinking every moment. One day, frustrated, he told her, "You don't act, Meryl. You overdecorate." She didn't flinch. "And you mistake noise for truth," she replied. That line ended the conversation, and any hope of working together. Weeks later, when the studio dropped Keitel from the project, rumors spread that Meryl had influenced the decision. She never confirmed it, but those close to her say she felt no guilt. "Sometimes silence isn't diplomacy," she told a friend. "It's defense." Years later, when asked about him in an interview, Meryl smiled and said, "He's passionate. Passion's a gift unless you use it like a weapon." To her, Harvey Keitel represented something larger than ego, the kind of masculine defiance that confuses dominance with depth. "Some men want to own the scene," she said. "Others just want to survive it." And that's why Keitel tops her list. Not because of anger, but because of what he reminded her. That even the most brilliant talents can rot from the inside when they forget the art is about empathy, not control. "The hardest thing to play," she once whispered, "is kindness. Most never even try." When the rumors first spread that Meryl Streep kept a list, no one believed it. She was the definition of grace, too private, too dignified, too careful with her words. But in a rare late-night interview, she confirmed it herself. The reporter asked why, after decades of silence, she decided to speak. Meryl smiled, that calm, knowing smile that hides storms, and said, "Because I'm tired of watching people mistake cruelty for confidence." Then she opened a small leather-bound notebook from her purse. Inside were 5 names, each written in careful cursive. Beneath them, a single line, "Not enemies, just lessons." She explained that every name reminded her of a truth she'd learned the hard way, that kindness is not weakness, that brilliance means nothing without respect, and that talent without humility always collapses under its own reflection. "People think I despise them," she said softly. "But I only despise what they chose to become." That was the twist. The list wasn't an act of revenge. It was her mirror, a private record of the moments when Hollywood stopped being about art and started being about applause. "It's not hate," she whispered. "It's heartbreak with a title." At 76, Meryl Streep no longer raises her voice. She doesn't have to. Her silence has become its own language, one that Hollywood now struggles to understand. She spends her days quietly, reading scripts she'll never film, watching younger actors chase the same ghosts she once did. Fame, validation, permanence. And sometimes, when they ask for advice, she tells them, "Don't aim to be admired, aim to be understood." The list, Hathaway, Willis, Paltrow, Slater, Keitel, has never left her desk. But to those who've seen it, it's not a collection of grudges. It's a meditation. A reminder that art survives not because of genius, but because of decency. People forget, she said once, that acting isn't pretending. It's remembering who you are when no one's watching. She knows now that resentment is a cage and forgiveness is craft, both learned over time. So she lets the list rest, like an old script no longer needed. As the lights fade, Meryl smiles, her voice barely a whisper. I don't hate them. I just hope they find what I found, peace in the truth. And with that, she closes the book, not on them, but on the noise.